If you are in the U.S., then you're probably doing a little bit of celebrating for the holidays. Or, I mean, if you're an online marketer, you might not be celebrating. You might actually be working. If you can hear me, if you please put the letter Y in the question box, I'd appreciate it. And I'm going to be going through a few questions that I received over the last couple of days for the training, and so hopefully this is going to be helpful for you. We're going to go through some answers to what I believe to be some really real questions. They're actually great questions that we've received from real marketers who are on the rise. We all are on the rise, right? We are all on our way. We're not at our destination. We're not quite where we need to be, and we're always improving. So I hope that this is going to be helpful for everyone. If you have any questions that you'd like for us to just take a shot at here on the call, please put them in the box. There are no limits on questions. Typically, I try to stick to PLR, and some of these questions are going to be PLR related. But today, since it's a holiday and since I asked, then if you have any questions about internet marketing, you can just write it there in the box, and I'll do the best I can to answer it today. I'm going to turn on my PowerPoint presentation, and I will put up my screen right about now. Let's kind of get this going here. Okay, so you should now be able to see my screen, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first question is from a gentleman that I've been having some discussion with over the last couple of days, and he says that one thing I was struggling with was the concept of making your PLR unique. And one can really get caught up with this and therefore spend a lot of time, perhaps too much time. I know you shared different concepts around this, but I wasn't sure how unique to go. And this is actually a great question. I think one that everyone, how many of you on this call who are here today, how many of you all have had this specific question? Maybe when it comes to PLR, how many of you all have had this specific question, which is, how far do you go in terms of making it unique? Okay, good. And so there are a couple of ways to answer this. And my answer is probably going to be a little different than you might expect. And actually, what you kind of have to do before you start talking about making PLR unique is you have to determine the niche first. And when I say that, you hear all the time that the money is in the list, and you got to get a list as an internet marketer, and so you buy PLR so you can start that process. But you really do at some point have to narrow down what your market's going to be, even if you decide that you're going to operate inside the make money online niche. You have to make a decision about where you can best compete. If you are going to be a PLR seller, for example, you have to focus on that niche. If you are going to focus on freelance writers, right, you're gonna provide resources, you're gonna sell to freelance writers, you have to decide on that niche first. If you were going to, let's say, if you were going to decide, if you're going to work with Kindle authors, right? You're going to provide products and services for Kindle authors. That's really the first step, is deciding on a niche. Who can you best serve? What market can you compete best in? And that really does come before the PLR. So for example, let's say that I had decided that what I was going to do is I was going to focus on Kindle authors. Well, then when I buy a Facebook PLR package, then I'm going to tailor that package, and I'm going to make it unique to the niche, right? I'm going to go through that package, and I'm going to try to answer the questions that my niche has. It's hard, very, very, very hard to come into a general niche and sell general products, right? It's hard to enter a niche that way. And it's especially hard if you're going to be using PLR in order to do that. What you can do if you really just want to go general, right? You just want to sell general products. You want to sell to people who just want to make more money. then what you really have to do is you've got to just be you've just got to kind of take the PLR and do something with it to turn it into something that people can use, right? So what you want to do is you want to focus on finding PLR that gives people master resale rights, right? So you're going to buy the rights, you're going to give them the right to resell it, and then you're going to give them something in that PLR to help them resell it. So what you have to do is you have to turn it into something that they're going to learn from and turn it into something they can use. So you want to focus on buying PLR that you can actually give your buyer the right to resell that PLR. And then what you have to do is you have to add something to it that is unique. You have to add something to it that you can that they can take, and then they're going to be able to use it really fast. And again, I'm just saying that if you want to be general, right? And I know not everybody knows what niche they want to be involved in. Not everybody knows what market they want to be in, but they know they want to be in the make money online niche because that's where a lot of people are. But if you want to use PLR in the make money online niche, you've got to turn it into something that people can use, and you have to add something unique to it that everybody else who's offering that PLR isn't offering, right? So if you get what I said, if that makes sense to you, please put the number 1 in the question box if you get that, right? If you get that, that makes sense to you. Okay, great. So I've got a question here today from Elaine. And so Elaine's question is, where do I learn how to use PLR and how to unpack them? And that's a great question, actually. I have on my YouTube channel, Elaine, I have a training that I did called the Ultimate PLR Setup. And so let me give you my YouTube channel. I don't know what the exact address is for that training is on YouTube, but if you go to my channel, and I'm going to give you the address of my channel now, and you go there and you look for the Ultimate PLR Setup, I go through the entire setup process start to finish there. So when you get a PLR package, I think that training, I show you what to do with it and how to alter it, right? And then how to get your pay button on there and how to get it up for sale, how to get it onto your hosting, and all those things. Now, of course, if you're going to be using something like JVZoo or Warrior Plus, the setup is going to be different, but you do get a basic setup in that video. So if you have that question, I'm gonna suggest, Elaine, you take a look at that training. I think it's about 40 or 50 minutes, and then if you have other questions, then let me know, and then I'll try to cover it on my next Q&A, which I think is going to be this weekend. Okay, Patrick just got it for us. Let me I'm going to pull that up. I'm going to give that to everybody. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate that. So I'm going to put this out to you, everybody. Okay, so that's the Ultimate PLR Setup. So you can use it and see if that answers your question. And if it doesn't, then just send me another email, and I will try to cover it on my next Q&A. All right. Okay, so let me move on to the next question. And okay, so here's the next one. Okay, so this is kind of a connected question that the gentleman had to his other question, which was before that. He said, now also, when it comes to selling my unique product, can I use the usual affiliate networks such as Warrior Forum and JVZoo? What other options are there? I feel a bit weird selling on these platforms. Is it cool to resell PLR in this way? I do know people who do it. I don't know how much money they make doing it, and I think it is a little weird going back to the same network where you actually bought the PLR in order to resell it. And I do know people who do that, and they are able to make sales. And that really is what the PLR is for. I mean, if you want to use it that way, you certainly can. What I would do, I think, before I went back to Warrior Forum or JVZoo, see, because when you call it an affiliate network, that's exactly what it is, right? Because if you sell on the Warrior Forum or JVZoo, what you're really doing is you're looking for an available pool of affiliates, and that's what really Warrior Forum and JVZoo actually do, or actually Warrior Plus. It makes it easy for an affiliate to promote your product. If you try to do that on your own, I mean, you've got to track their sales, and then you've got to be able to mail out payments. And these affiliate networks make it easy, Warrior Plus and JVZoo. So if you're not recruiting affiliates, right, you probably don't even have to use Warrior Forum or JVZoo. Now, JVZoo is not going to bring you new residual sales. So in other words, if you don't have a network of affiliates already going into JVZoo, you're not going to, JVZoo is not going to bring you any more traffic, right? It's not set up that way. Warrior Forum or Warrior Plus and the Warrior Forum will bring you traffic. Now, Warrior Forum, you're actually not even allowed to resell PLR on the Warrior Forum. It's got to be your original product. You can sell a PLR offer on Warrior Plus, and they do take you through an approval process if you're new. But Warrior Plus will actually send you traffic. So what you've got to do on Warrior Plus is you've got to be able to designate exactly what kind of traffic you're going to get. They're going to allow you to put 3 keywords in when you first launch your product. They're going to say, well, what category is this in? And you might say, what's in the category of WordPress? It's in the category of video marketing. It's in the category of, I don't know, CPA marketing. And everybody who signed up to get updates for a product in CPA marketing, WordPress, and video marketing, they're going to get a mailing of that offer, right? Does that make sense? So if you get that part about Warrior Plus, please put number 2 in the question box. So if you get that. Okay, so what you can do is you can go to Warrior Plus and you can get traffic. But you really do, in my opinion, you really do want to have some kind of uniqueness to the offer. Now, what you can do at Warrior Plus is you can go to Warrior Plus with your PLR, and what you can try to do is you can either try to bring it down to a really low cost, or if you, I think you can actually put a free offer on Warrior Plus. If you have an older account, you can put a free offer on there, and what you can do is you can use it to build your list, right? So you can actually have people to opt in to your list in order to get opt-ins, right? That's another thing you can do with Warrior Plus. I think you do have to have an older account in order to do that. I don't know if they let new marketers run free offers there on Warrior Plus. And let's see, SK has a question. Should you use the forum or Warrior Plus, or what are the differences? That's a good question. Okay, so Warrior Plus is an affiliate network. Warrior Forum is a forum. It's a marketing forum. So what you're doing when you put your offer on Warrior Forum is now you are going to get traffic on Warrior Forum. What I would caution you about on Warrior Forum is that there isn't a lot of marketer traffic there exclusively anymore. Now what you have is you have freelancers who are there, who have come over from freelancer.com because Freelancer bought Warrior Forum a little while ago. And so a lot of people there don't have the same mentality that you have about products, right? They don't have the same mentality about marketing. And so you are going to get traffic. You are going to probably get buyers there. I don't know if you're going to have the kind of buyer that you're going to want to build a relationship with, because again, their mindset is different than the traditional internet marketer, right? So that's what I would caution you about. You might want to go with a test of a product there, launch a product there to see how it does, and you can actually go to Warrior Forum without a list, right? So you can actually get traffic to your offer without a list. Warrior Forum is going to bring you traffic all by itself. However, again, depending on the offer, you probably are going to get some buyers, right? I mean, I can't guarantee you're going to get buyers, but you probably will get some buyers. What I don't know is I don't necessarily think that the kind of buyer that you're going to get for the time you're going to invest is going to be the kind of buyer that's going to be one of your 1,000 true fans that will buy $100 from you over the course of the year. Right? What we're really trying to do is, all of us, we're trying to find someone who we can kind of satisfy their needs over the course of a year, right? We're trying to find the kind of people that we can partner with, and I guess partner, when I use the word partner, that we can kind of help them to accomplish their goals. We want longer term customers. We want customers we can help all year long. And I don't know if you're going to find that on the Warrior Forum. You will find them on Warrior Plus. And if you don't have a list to get started, you can go to Warrior Plus and get traffic. Right now, one thing I would also tell you is that you're going to do that. If you're going to put your offer on Warrior Plus, chances are you're probably right out of the gate, you're not going to get a lot of buyers. But make sure that you have an exit pop on your sales page so that you can collect leads. So that all the traffic that you get, even if they don't buy from you because they don't know you right away, you should be able to get some opt-ins, right? So you can get to know, because not everybody who comes to that page the first time, they're not going to be ready to buy from you because they don't know you. And so you want to do is you want to collect leads. And so you want to have an exit pop from your page to something, probably, I would even say that your opt-in offer, when you don't have a list, you need to have a fantastic opt-in offer, right? Here's the thing, and I have done this in the past, and I've since reformed my ways. Don't put your crappiest offer for your opt-in, right? This is a mistake that I made. This is a mistake that marketers make, because we sometimes will leave the opt-in as our crappy offer, right? As just an afterthought. And what you want to do is you want to have you want to have when you're trying to build a list, or when you're trying to build a list, that offer should be fantastic. It should be dynamic. It should be almost rivaling something that people would actually have to pay for, so that when they see it, they say, you know what, that's really cool. I really do want that. And if you make that one of your best offers, you're going to get people to opt in, and more than likely, you're going to get people who may even kind of see your point of view. They might be willing to stay with you on that list. If you make your opt-in offer an afterthought, then you're not going to get as many opt-ins, number one. Number two, even if they do opt in, the chances are they may not be willing to stay with you and to listen to you. So again, if you're gonna go that route, Warrior Plus, make sure you have an exit pop. Make sure your exit pop goes to an awesome offer, right? And then start building your list by just finding out who those people are, and then finding out what their goals are. What can you help them to accomplish? And when you find out what you help them to accomplish, then you create your products then, right? You go out and you buy PLR that will help you to create a product to meet their needs. So in other words, again, what I'm saying is that you almost want to start the process of building your list first, and then start thinking about, well, what PLR do I need? Right? And then as you do that, what's going to happen is the people on your list, your mailing list, they'll start telling you what they need. Right? They'll start telling you what it is they really want. And you'll start getting a sense for their questions and what you can really answer. Right? You'll start getting a sense for what people are really struggling with, they're willing to talk about. Right? So hopefully that helps. Does that make sense, everybody? So if you get my explanation to that question, please put the number 3 in the question box, and I'm gonna move on to another question here. All right, so okay, so I've got a question here from Dana. Happy 4th, Dana. Okay, so new topic question. What is your general opinion on the services that curate fan page content from other sources using keywords than scheduling postings? That's a great question, actually. And here's my thought about that, is that I think that these things, they work for sure, right? What I have found is that, and you have been in this game as long as I have, Dana, so you know this. we've seen over the years that, you know, you'll get used to doing something, and then Facebook will change a rule. We'll get used to doing something, and then YouTube will change a rule. We'll get used to doing something, and then somebody will change it just slightly in a way so that it doesn't work quite as well. And so I have grown a little skeptical of auto posting. And because all it takes is one change in order to make it so that it doesn't work as well. And so if you start out depending on having that traffic, getting traffic that way, then if something changes, then you're sort of dependent on keeping it going. So I know that it works. I don't like to go down that road, mainly because if anything changes, then I got to change, right? And so that's my general opinion on the kind of curation that happens with that kind of auto posting, if that makes sense, right? And so, excuse me, yeah, and so, for example, what's the most recent thing? Um, Oh well, we've seen it. We've seen it with YouTube in a general sense, right? There were a lot of folks who were getting used to sort of the revenue that YouTube was actually giving them, and then the adpocalypse happened. A lot of people were getting organic traffic from Facebook pages, and then Facebook really wanted to emphasize ads and then lead ads, and then they changed some things. And those things, they worked, and then all of a sudden they didn't work. I know one of the really hot things right now is that you know, you're able to direct link out of Facebook. Um, I just keep thinking to myself, this is really cool. If I get used to it, right, my business starts to revolve around it, then um, then there's going to be a problem if it goes away. Here's what I'll say about all of this. Um, if your business works this way, and I know some people's do, people's business works so that they ride out a trend, right? So they will ride it out. So they will hop on this thing, they'll use something, they'll ride it out until it doesn't work anymore, and then move on to the next thing. I have not found that to work, and I am not quick to adjust that way, so that is why I don't do it. Right? Okay, so great question. Thank you, Dana. Okay, so next question is, what is the best membership platform to use now, or WordPress template, and what are the best plugins? And I could really kind of stay politically correct on this and kind of stay general, but that wouldn't be worth your time to come here. So I'm going to go ahead and give you my opinion about these membership plugins. And first thing I'm going to say is that I have run memberships for other people. I've run memberships for myself, and every membership plugin has problems, right? They all do. So no membership plugin is going to be the perfect plugin. Every membership plugin is going to have varying levels of complexity. So in other words, even if somebody says, "Oh man, this thing is really simple, it's just cut and paste," I have not found that to be the case, right? They all have varying levels of complexity, and none of them do everything you need them to do, right? So that being said, I have owned simultaneously 2 to 3 at the same time and use them all differently. Right now I'm using ClickFunnels. It doesn't do everything I want it to do, right? And I actually pay for it, mainly because it is the way because Sydney operates it, and I don't have to operate it. If I had to do it myself, I probably would not. I would probably use Optimized Press, and I would probably use something like something really simple. I hear that MemberSonic is simple. Wishlist Member does just about everything you could possibly want for a WordPress plugin. It's a little pricey. You are going to have to update it every year, but it is worth the price if you are going to be launching multiple memberships on multiple domains. And if you are going to want to do complex things, if you're going to keep a simple membership, then you can probably get by with the free membership plugin called S2 Member, right? You can get S2 Member if you just Google S2 Member. In most cases, you can actually get S2 Member to do just about everything you need. And Dana just said that Dana uses MemberSonic, and they update it all the time. The guy there is a good marketer, and he's a stand-up guy. He's got an active support group. So what I would say about that is that if you want to go simple, you can use something like MemberSonic if you want to do WordPress. If you need something that's going to be more complex and it does more things, then you may want to upgrade to something like Wishlist Member. Now, there are other platforms out there, and some of them integrate with something called the WooCommerce platform. And so WooCommerce is its own universe of tools. And if you are looking to do stuff in ways that, let's say you want to create your own affiliate program and other things like that, you can actually start looking at things that are going to be in the WooCommerce universe. And those are also very robust plugins. They're going to be a little pricey. The pricey is going to be spicy, but as is the same with MemberSonic, they're going to keep up the plugin, and they're going to do a good job over time. I have used. I'm an avid user of Optimized Press. I am not an avid user of Optimized Member, which is a membership plugin. It is limited, but if you're going to have standalone products and you have Optimized Press, then I would say using Optimized Member. But again, I would not use Optimized Member in order to run a membership, right? I would not do that. I tried that. That was a disaster. A member does some really cool stuff. Just as long as you remember, you're going to have to buy plugins, and you're going to have to be a little technical, or you're going to have to pay somebody, right? So A member it does a lot of cool stuff, lots of plugins, and you can adapt A member to do some really, really, really cool stuff. So for example, let's say that what you want to do is you want to award points to people for everybody who buys or buys into your membership. You want to give them points to use on your site. You want to do some gamification and stuff. That's the case. A member does a lot of that through plugins, right? And so it is not necessarily the most user-friendly membership plugin. And I don't even know if it fully integrates with WordPress. I think it does by now. So you're going to have to know some HTML, and you're going to have to get some people to program it. Okay, so that is my answer to membership plugins. Any questions about that? All right, so let's move on to the next question. Okay, so same question, same person, and boy, I really like this question because I really do. I really do want to answer this. I was looking at and really the plugin doesn't even matter, right? CloudNet 360, it could have been anything, so I don't even care about which one it is. It's an all-one platform: website, membership, shopping cart, CRM, email, newsletter, sales page, funnels, and everything that probably one would need. At the $150 mark, I thought it was worth it if I add up ClickFunnels, email, and a couple other services, which would be well over $200. Now, this is a fantastic question. I'll tell you why. All-in-one services, and I've been at this ever since 2007. It's now 2017. So I feel like I'm qualified to tell you what I think about this. An all-in-one service is just that. If you get tired, and I'm not even saying anything goes wrong, I'm saying sometimes you just get tired of using a certain service, and you decide, you know what, I'm not going to use this anymore. Well, if you have everything all together, then then you've got a bit of a problem if your email is tied to your membership, if it's tied to your website, if it's tied to your shopping cart, if it's tied to your CRM. And yes, you save some money. Yes, you have some conveniences. I would say that you really, really, really want to evaluate these things separately. And that's a hassle. But if you're going to run an online business, you cannot afford to get tired of using one thing and not be able to get rid of it because you have all this other stuff you bundled with it. If you like Aweber, right? I don't know if I would get rid of Aweber just because I start using ClickFunnels to save the money, right? And I'm in that dilemma right now, right? I use ClickFunnels. I haven't gotten rid of Aweber because, quite frankly, I've been with Aweber since 2007, right? When that was the first purchase I made, in fact, was Aweber. And I know Aweber's got its ups and downs, and people have had their ups and downs with Aweber. And they're not perfect, and they have some stuff they get jammed up all the time. But if Russell Brunson gets tired of maintaining ClickFunnels, or if he sells it, or if somebody else decides to take it in a different direction, I don't want my email tied up with that. And yes, I use their membership site, but that's about it, right? Everything else I'm using separately. And that is my opinion about this. I know everybody's got a different viewpoint on this. I'm going to give you mine about this because that's why you came to this webinar. I think that you should evaluate things separately. If you decide that let's say that I decide I want to test ClickFunnels email. I haven't done that yet, but I might. And then I look at it and I say, you know what, this is really better than Aweber, right? This is really running better than Aweber. I'm gonna table Aweber because this runs better for me. I'm not gonna get ClickFunnels so I can have their email to save the money. In other words, does everybody understand the difference? So in other words, I'm not gonna get it because it bundles up everything and I can save money, right? I have not ever seen that work. And all-in-one solutions tie you up in the wrong way, and you're trying to run an online business, and your customers don't care, right? They don't care that you bought an all-in-one system. They expect to get their stuff, right? And so I would just caution you if you're going to do this, but don't do it for the money. Do it because they work so much better, and it's the best possible solution, right? Even integration solutions. I was a partner in a webinar system that I use a lot, right? I still use it, but I still have GoToWebinar because for some stuff, GoToWebinar is better, right? I like GoToWebinar for certain stuff. For certain stuff, I like Webinar Fusion Pro. For certain other stuff, I like another webinar platform. I'm not big in terms of Facebook Live, but I do some Facebook Live. And so the thing is, I'm always going to evaluate, and I would always rather pay more to have the flexibility of being able to go to something when I need it. And so no, I don't think that you ought to be paying everybody everything. That is not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you keep all these services and you just keep paying through the nose on a monthly basis. I mean, I'm as cheap as anybody is out there. But evaluate the answer based on what is best for your clients, right? So if you get the answer to what I said about that, please put the number 4 in the question box. Even if you don't agree, right? Even if you don't agree, you don't really even have to agree with me, just as long as you understand it, right? Okay. All right. So next question. Okay, so the next question was, please show me how to sell PLR as a standalone product, like, and I left the name out. It just asked for $67 to $97 up front without all that funnel stuff. This is a great question too. And what I would say about that is that if you, you sort of want to, if you want to offer everything up front, you just want to have one offer, and there are people who do that. Um, um, what you really have to have is you sort of have to have. Um, Here's what you have to have in order to do this, and this kind of goes back to what I talked about before. Um, you have to have a relationship with the people who are on your mailing list, and you have to know what it is they want. Because until you have that point in time, until you have that kind of relationship, you might not even know if your price point is right. Right? You have to understand your customer base and the people who are on your mailing list extremely well before you can just say, I'm going to do a $97 product and I'm not going to offer any upsells to it. And I know people who do that. Um, there's a gentleman whose name is Ben Settle. He sells an email newsletter, $97 a month. That's all he sells, right? So, but here's what he has done, right? So there are a couple of things to this. Number one, he has proven himself to be an expert email copywriter. So he has, as we talked about before, he has carved out a niche, email copywriting, and he's considered to be one of the best there is at it. And so when you meet Ben for the first time, he's already established himself as an expert in email copywriting. So your mind is already tuned in that if he's going to offer something, I might need to buy it at what he's going to sell it at. And that's number one. Number two, he spends an inordinate amount of time working with his prospects through email, right? So he's established a relationship with them so they know, even if they don't buy today, right? They're going to buy one thing, and they're going to buy that one thing from him based on the emailing that he's doing over the course of every single day, ever since I've been on his list. I've been on his list for about 3 years. I have not bought his email newsletter yet, but he has already established that price. It's going to be $97. It's not going to be any less than that. And if I decide I want to get better at email copywriting, and I probably will at some point, I will have to buy at $97. And I'm not going to buy, and he's not going to put me through a funnel for that. So what you have to do, you have to establish the value. In other words, if I'm going to spend $97 with you, right? Have you established that value with me? Is it going to be worth it? Now, if I just meet you, if I meet you for the first time, unless somebody else has already told me about you, it's not going to be likely that I'm going to spend that amount with you already, right? I might. You have to kind of get to the point where the value is already there. You have some affiliates who are promoting you, who've already said or who've already established that you're the guy or you're the woman with this thing, or you need to have established that over time. So if you're going to go with a price that is just one price, you're not going to bring people through a funnel, then you got to establish the value first. That's going to happen through a list. That's going to happen with your being an expert in your niche. That's going to happen with affiliates saying you're the expert in the niche. And don't listen. And I I'm gonna give you my opinion about this. It doesn't mean that you have to be all over social media about this. That is not what that means, right? And being on social media, and saying you're an expert at this doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to buy from you at that price without a funnel, right? And I know that it seems that way, and there are a lot of people who are selling on social media, a lot of people who probably make sales. But I always ask this, and I want you to be truthful with me, and you tell me what you think. How many of you are connected with about at least 20 marketers on social media? And how many of you find that your news feed is incredibly noisy? So in other words, whenever you go on there, you are getting hit with at least 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 offers every time you go in there, right? And so what I will say about that is that even if you have purchased from social media, do you want to add to that noise And are you going to get the kind of customer that you want? Now, if you're going to find your customer on there and you're going to bring that customer off of social media, you're going to bring them into a conversation, you're going to build a relationship with them, I'm going to say then social media is all worth it, establishing yourself as an expert on social media. I would say establish yourself as an expert and then go to social media and then promote yourself as that person. So in other words, be the expert, become that person, be the most knowledgeable in an area, be the most prolific in an area, be the most have the most products in that area, have the most trainings in that area, have the most Facebook lives in that. So pick something and become that person in the niche. And then when you start talking about asking for just a one-off price with turning the PLR into something that people are going to buy one time, then you can do that. Now, let's talk about turning PLR into that one thing. All right, so the other part to the question is, so how do I take PLR and turn it into that thing that I can sell one time? And it really does kind of come back to who you are, right? Because I'm going to buy it from you. It's interesting that the person, and I left the person's name out who the guy put in here, but whether or not he knows it, more than likely is the PLR was incidental because he bought from this person. And so what you and I have to do is we have to become a person that can ask for $67 and $97. The PLR is incidental. So I can take the PLR and I can turn it into something worth $97, right? So in other words, let's say that I purchase, I think I've been talking about Continuity Blueprint, right? So let's say I bought Continuity Blueprint and I want to turn that into a $97 product and I want to sell that product at $97. What could I do to that to make it worth it? Well, I could do a number of things. Number one, I could give you along with it a membership setup, a push button membership setup. So in other words, so that all you'd have to do is upload this thing to your server and your membership would be set up. I could give you, in addition to that, I've got at least 3 or 4 interviews on how to start and run and grow a membership. I could give you that along with that PLR, right? I could also give you the content along with that PLR. So here's what I'm trying to do with a PLR. Number one, right, and I say this in a number of my trainings, and this is really true. You and I have to turn it into something that is usable right off the bat. When I buy a PLR product, I'm buying it wholesale, but I'm going to sell it at retail. How do I sell it retail? When I make the offer to somebody to buy it, first of all, it's not even going to look like it's not going to look like what I bought. So that's kind of the one thing. It can't look like what you just bought. So if I buy Continuity Blueprint, it's not going to be called that. It's not going to look like what I bought. It's going to be something entirely different. So that's right off the bat. The other thing is going to be that I am going to offer something that you can use immediately. The more you can use it, the more immediately you can use it, the more I can ask you for, the more I can ask for in terms of price. And so when you get PLR, what you have to try to do if you want to increase the price is you got to turn it into something that your buyer can use and use immediately. So if it's, and again, I'm not saying it's easy to do, but it's worth it to do, right? If you want to sell it at, if you want to take it and you want to sell it at $17, you can do that, but you got to raise the value to you got to raise the value above $17. If you want to sell it for $97, you got to raise the value. Here's what I would do. Here's what I would do. If you just want to take a standalone PLR product and sell it for $97, I would install it, right? If you just want to keep it simple. I would get my, right now, Sydney does my installations, right? So I would sell it at $97, and then I would have Sydney do the install. right? You can do the same thing. Now, I'm not saying you can have Sydney do the install. You got to get your own Sydney. And then you can do an install. And so you could sell the product, sell it with master resale rights, and install it for your client. You can charge $197 if you send them some traffic, right? You can charge $297 if you put some leads in their autoresponder. Is everybody getting me? So if you kind of get where I'm going with this, please put the number 5 in the question box. So if you sort of understand the way I'm answering this question. If you don't, feel free to come up with a follow-up question. So this is a question that it's a great question. It has a lot of layers to it, right? My answer has a lot of layers to it. All right, so I think, let's see, we might have one more question here. Let me kind of see what else we got here. I think that's all I'm going to do on that one. And so here's the last question. And so it's kind of a multi-layered question, but basically they're talking about isolation, right? They're talking about the work they do and just really feeling a little isolated. I'm the only one that can see your answers, right? How many of you all have found that to be the case about doing internet marketing at times? I'm not saying you have to be there all the time. I'm saying at times. It's just a little isolating because basically you have to focus on being on your computer. That means you're not going to be spending you're not going to be spending as much time out in the world, and you have to kind of build these relationships with people over computers. So it can be a little isolating. And so what this person is asking is they're saying, what can you do about that, right? What can you do about that so that you can get some more support, and so that you can get over the I guess the social connection part. And there are a couple of things you can do with that. Number one, and I'll tell you my own personal experience. I have found that going to events, right, even when I cannot afford to go, right, my very first event that I went to in 2012, couldn't afford to go, right, just really couldn't afford to go, I went, right, I went, and so I got down there. And I met people some people were just like me. Some people were up and coming. Some people were already in position. And I always say this, and I really want to make this point to you. I am not Aldo Cello when I get to these events. So I'm not the guy that you have known all your life, right? I mean, if you came to the event and you saw me, and maybe you might see my family, you might see Laurel there. I'm not that talkative, so I'm not up walking around, and I'm not that person. And so when I go to these things, I do try to meet people, but it's not my natural habitat. So if you think that you have to be, you go to a live event and you've got to be this party person and you got to be the life of the party, that's not the case. And you can benefit from these events even if you are incredibly shy, you're not talkative, and you just don't vibe like that. When you go to these things, you meet people, you shake their hands, you tell them, hey, you know what? I'm going to contact you in a week because I've got this thing coming up. Or, hey, you know what? I noticed that you've got this thing that you do all the time. I was wondering if I could work with you. And some people are not going to be your cup of tea, and you're not going to be their cup of tea either. But you are going to make 1 or 2 relationships that will make all the difference in the world, and they will introduce you to other people inside the internet marketing. And when you get back to your house and you are working online, there is some kind of magic about having met somebody that you used to only meet virtually, that you shook their hand and they met you personally. When you contact them on Facebook, you're going to have a little bit more of a familiarity, and they're going to be more familiar with you, and they're going to talk to you in the kind of warmth that you were used to because you've had a human connection. So the first thing I would say is that whenever there is an event, if you can possibly get there, right? If you can possibly get there, try to get there. And again, I know that's a hardship. When I went to my first one, I think it was 2012, 2011, it was a hardship for me, right? But it was worth it. And the relationships that I made there, right? Two of them. One of them in 2011. One of them in 2011 paid my mortgage. One of them paid my mortgage in 2012. And that was with internet marketing. And so if you can get there and you can meet somebody, and I can't make any promises because there's no method to it. You got to go there and you got to meet people, shake their hands, and you will typically make one key connection. Sometimes you'll do it by accident. Sometimes you'll do it on purpose. When I went to the one in 2011, there was a guy who just sat down next to me, and he said, "Oh, what do you do?" And I said, "Oh, well, I do offline PLR." He said, "Really? What do you do in offline PLR?" So I started talking about this thing I'm doing, and this guy said, and I'll never forget. He said, "You know what? I've been looking for somebody just like you." So I don't want to tell you that I did all this stuff on purpose and I had this strategy, all this stuff. No, I went down there and this happened for me. And it happened 3 times in a row. So that's one thing you can do. Now the other thing you can do is when you get inside of a group and you get inside of and this happens on social media, when you see somebody who they're launching a product, or maybe they had a launch and didn't work so well, or you see they're kind of doing this service, right? Reach out to them and say, "Hey, you know what? I noticed that you do a lot of stuff with CPA. I was wondering, you know what? I'm a great writer, but I don't really have a lot of content. And I was wondering if you'd like to launch a product on CPA, because I could do I could write the entire thing. I just don't know it as well. And I'm wondering if you'd like to partner up." If I've done that once, I've done it 1,000 times. And what I will tell you is this: I've been turned down a lot, right? And again, it's not comfortable being turned down. It's not easy being turned down, and especially online. And it makes you feel sometimes a little bit even more isolated. However, for all the 10 times I've been turned down, there have been at least 1 or 2 times where somebody said, "Hey, you know what? That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. Maybe we can do something with that." And sometimes it's online, so sometimes people flake out. They never get around to it. But here's what happens: when you do that kind of stuff, you start connecting with people. And you start talking about stuff other than you're trying to hit them up for something. Look, if you can find a way to be of service to somebody where you're not begging them to do something, they're not begging you to do something, you're trying to partner up with somebody, you start connecting with people on a business level, and people will say yes or no, but you connect with them. And that is what is important. And that helps you sometimes to overcome the social vacuum, because really and truly, there are 2 steps to kind of get to that point where you're talking about, family stuff, right? Now, I used to try to do it in reverse. I used to try to kind of come to somebody and say, "Hey, what's going on with your son and daughter? And hey, I noticed you do that kind of stuff. Look, you have to almost do business with somebody first before they start sharing some of that personal stuff with you, right? So if you found that, well, I try to connect with people on a personal level and they're not really doing it with me, that's typically because you really don't get a chance to connect with someone at that level until you do a little business with them, right? And so if you're looking for the opportunity to connect with people, partnering with them is going to be sometimes the fastest way for you to connect with 1 or 2 people on that level, and then you will then start to find that your world becomes a lot bigger, because sometimes just being able to talk to 1 or 2 people about something, when you come online, do some work, makes your world huge, right? It broadens your world, right? So that's how I would answer that. Those two things: getting to events and partnering with somebody. And when you partner with somebody, just remember that when you reach out to somebody, um, expect to be turned down, right? Expect that most people are going to say, "What? No, what are you, crazy?" Expect that most people are going to probably not even answer your personal message. I mean, so people are going to ignore you. But for every 10 times you do it, one person is going to respond to you. They're going to say, "Hey, you know what? That could work. That could be an idea." And then out of that, every I'd say 2 or 3 people that you get to say yes to you and start talking to you, I'd say 1 or 2 of those people are going to flake out, right? And it's the truth. But again, it's worth it for the one person that you connect with. And what happens when you go through that process, you go through this growing period, go through this growing phase every time you do it. And I still do it every single day. Right? I still do it. I still reach out to people every single day. Sometimes people flake out on me. A lot of people say, "You know what? Nope, that's not quite my cup of tea." Nope. And some people just don't answer me. Some people don't even answer me at all. But I connect with 1 or 2 people, and that 1 or 2 persons makes it worth it. Okay. All right. So, any other questions? Does that make sense? So if you get the answer to that, can you put the number 6 in the question box if you get my answer to that? All right, very good. Okay, so hopefully this has been helpful to you, and those questions will, maybe you had some of those questions and maybe you didn't, but I really wanted to kind of go through some of the stuff that we've been getting over the last week. Just a few reminders to you. The continuity blueprint, I mean, that price goes up at midnight, so if you're picking that up, you can get that at superfastactionbonus.com/get members. Right? So you can pick that up tonight. And then also there's a new PLR product out there. You can pick that up at superfastactionbonus.com/Sajan-S. Okay, everybody. Hey, thanks, Dana. I appreciate it. Dana, I know you probably know a lot of that. So, Dana's been kicking around here as long as I have. So any other questions? Any other questions? All right, everybody. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a great night, a great afternoon, great 4th of July if you're celebrating here in the United States, and have a pleasant tomorrow. Take care.